Hello guys, my name is Rensi Sangani and today we will learn about a topic. So let's we start. Lack of a big goal. When you don't have a big goal in life, you won't have anything meaningful to work on. You feel like you're not making progress. If you work towards a big goal, something that takes years to accomplish, you have clarity and focus. When you take care of your mental health, work on primary activities, and have a big goal, you can make a lot of progress in stepping up your level of focus. Sometimes it's best to have single minded focus for a set amount of time. For example, during the last month, I spent about 19% of my life, energy, and mental bandwidth completing my new book. Within that the single month, I finished the first draft. I wrote more in 1 month than in the 6 period months. That's the power of single-minded focus. By eliminating most things from your life for some time, you can make so much progress. This is something the former Navy SEAL and ultra marathon runner David Goins talks about often. His ambition is to be the best among the best. To achieve that, you can't be balanced sometimes, as he writes. If you truly want to become uncommon amongst the uncommon, it will require statistic greatness for a long period of time. It requires staying in constant pursuit and putting out unending effort. This may sound applying, but will require everything you have to give and then some. Believe me, this is not everyone for because it will demand singular focus and may upset the balance in your life. I will never meet a person who was the best at their job, competed in sport events, and had a highly active social life. We can't underestimate the time and energy it takes to be great at everything. Whenever you want to be the greatest parent you can be, or the best athlete, you can't be everything at the same time. Sometime got to give. If you try to do everything, you either burn out or break something. You might blow up your work or your relationship. As the saying goes, you can have it all, but not at all at the same time. Look, I do love to live balanced life, but the key is that only balance a few things. I have decided that I am all in one: work, exercise, and family. And occasionally I have to get even more focused. Like the month I really went too deep into finishing my book. I don't mind not having a rich social life. I'd rather balance the things I focus on. This is what Goggins means when he says that trying to be great might upset the balance in your life. It's sure will if you try to spend your time and energy on too many things. You have to make choice. You are better off mentally and professionally by being really focused on the things that matter of you. And sometimes you can even step up as I did with my book. But that's not something I recommended doing for a long time because you all end up overworked. We still need our rest and downtime. On having a healthy mind. In the Netherlands, where I grew up, uh, the first common sense mean Beyond Verstand. The literal translation to English is healthy mind. I will always like that translation better the common sense for some reason. When I was reading Marcus Aurelius' meditation for the first time, I also noticed that he talked about the concept of having a healthy mind. He wrote, a healthy pair of eyes should see everything that can be seen and not say no to bright. A healthy sense of hearing to smell should be prepared for any sound or scent. A healthy stomach should have the same reaction to all food as a meal to what it greets. So, to a healthy mind should be prepared for anything. that makes you think, uh, what is the what is the healthy mind? Let's start with the receiver. Let's start with the reverse. What's an unhealthy mind? To think about this, we need we need to let go of the idea of common sense. For example, a person could have a sound judgment and be a logical thinker, but still have an unhealthy mind. Here, what an unhealthy mind means to me: a mind that's worried, consistently thinking about things outside its control. Innocence, feeling happy one day and sad the next for no reason. Unfocused, not able to concentrate on important things. Insures, not satisfied with itself. Insecure. When you flip these things, you have a healthy mind. Can we all have 100% healthy mind all of the time? Well, I think it's something on unhealthy mind would ask think about it. A healthy mind is the opposite of worried. It's peaceful. Is it doesn't care about the things that are either outside its control or are unrealistic. The nature of human being is that we make mistakes. We can't live a perfect life. It's not important whether we make mistake or not. It's important that we hold our composure and don't lose our cool. Uh, Aurelius said that unhealthy mind is one that keeps saying, "Are my children all right?" or "Everyone must approve of me." These are just two examples of the unhealthy thinking. I think most of us know what really healthy behavior is. No one is surprised when you say it's not healthy if you are happy one day and said the next. We know that's not normal, but we often don't know what normal looks like. It's actually a good question. What's normal? What's normal behavior? When you grow up in a family, it always complains and argues about almost everything, like me. You think it's normal to live that way. Since I grew up that way, I I thought it was normal to argue a lot when you are in relationship. It wasn't until I was 30 that I learned that's not healthy. Sometimes we're just not aware of what's healthy, and that's why I like psychology so much, because it's about finding the answer to living a good and healthy life. It's an it's an ongoing it's it's an ongoing process of trying to become better, and having a healthy mind is one of those things we should always strive for. Knowing yourself better. What progress, you ask, have I made? I have been to be a friend to myself, on knowing theyself and acting accordingly. Years ago, I bought an SUV. I convinced myself that I needed a big car so I could go on more trips, and that a big car would come in handy when I had to move house. I spent 20 grand to buy an SUV and just use it in the exact some way as my previous car. I didn't go on more trips and I didn't move around a bunch of stuff. I just spend more on gas and insurance. That's because I don't really like to do those things anyway. I just like the idea of those activities. One of the most important ideas of Western philosophy is the concept of knowing yourself. To know thyself is the beginning of wisdom. As Scott famously said, it's good advice, but how do you actually apply it in daily life? By the look of it, most, most people don't apply the ideas of knowing yourself, knowing thyself, to their decisions. The funny thing is that we often force ourselves to do things we are unsuited for. For example, I would always be an inverted. and I generally don't like stranger or being in large cohorts. It's just not my thing. I don't like small talk with vague acquaintances. But for many years, I tried being more sociable. I went to parties, conference, social event, concert, clubs, you name it. And everywhere I went, I end up a, I ended up just spending time with a handful of people I knew anyway. I think we all know ourselves. How can we not? After all, you can only be yourself. From the moment you wake up until you go to bed, you are right there with your thoughts and personality. The problem is that most of us lack the confidence to actually live in agreement with who we are. It's not easy to do that. Sometimes you need to push yourself to be yourself. It's that tricky. We know who we are, but for whatever reason, fear, social pressure, insecurity, we don't live based on our self knowledge. That's how we often end up in bad situation. We take jobs that are not a fit for who we are. We start relationship with people who were not compatible with, and so forth. Stoic psychology stresses deliberation action. In there's a section we where he talks about how one should think things through. In each action that you undertake, consider what come before and what follows after, and only then process to the action itself. Over otherwise, you will see set about it with enthusiasm, because you're never giving any thought to the to the concessions that will follow, and then you will give up in an ignominious fashion when one or another of them makes its appearance. How often have you set about something with enthusiasm, only to find out later that it actually wasn't for you? I would read about how a lot of people used to move out of cities during the first year of COVID. Sure, it sounds nice. The idea of moving from a metropolitan area to someplace quieter. You all, you all expect the traffic anyone people, high taxes, lofty house prices, and so forth. But if you love, but if you love city life, you won't enjoy the suburbs of smaller town in Arizona and Florida. That's why a lot of people regret their move and have wanted to move back. Look, we can never fully avoid underestimate situation, and sometimes you just have to try something before you know it. If you like it, not bad, but there's definitely a lot of hurt, sadness, and pain we can avoid. We can also avoid wasting our time and money when we are honest about who we are and the lifestyle we will enjoy. We no longer feel the pressure to do certain things. We think before we act, and it's really not that hard. Whenever you need to make a big decision, try to ask yourself, what are the ultimate outcome I'm looking for? Does this align with who I actually am? And what I'm actually good at? What do I actually enjoy? Will this help me reach my ultimate goals? As as Epictetus said, think about the conscience, good and bad. If that is in line with who you are, then go for it. If it's not, so don't. On your inner strength. Throughout 2020, I often thought, what a wasted year. There is so much we couldn't do because of the pandemic. So many plans we missed out on. Think of the holiday season. Normally, around that time of the year, most of us are not out a lot. I'm not a fan of cold weather, but I don't mind going out of then. The shop all book the shop all look festive. Christmas music parties and music puts people in a good mood. And coffee tastes so much better after you have been out in the cold of a few hours. We can still shop and buy coffee in most cities, but isn't not the same. By now, three quarters into the pandemic, most of us had enough. First, there was shock, then there was acceptance and making the best of it. Now there is dread. During moments of dread, we need to remind ourselves we have the inner strength to keep going. I know you don't want to get out of bed some days, or maybe want to go to bed at noon, but you are strong enough to keep moving forward. Epictetus said this beautifully. Remember that for every challenges you face, you have the resource within you to cope with that challenges. If you are in probability attracted to someone, you will find you have the resource of self restraint. When you have pain, you have the resource of endurance. When you are insulated, you have the resource of patience. If you think this way, you will find that you have an answer to everything that life throws at you. The problem is that we sometimes forget we are actually strong beings. Think about the people who endured the Holocaust. Viktor Frankl wrote about it. It is man's search for meaning. I love that book. It reminds me that you and I have similar DNA as the people who survived that horror. Lying in the bed with our electric blanket, we think we are becoming soft, but that's not the case. We are simply forgetting that we have the resource of strength within us. It's like going through your basement and finding useful things you didn't even know you had. The other day, I went through my storage and found these great bookends I tucked away when I moved house several years ago. I totally forgotten about them. Turns out I can use those in my current condo. The mental equivalent of going through your storage is reflection. I do this thought journaling. It's good to think about the things you have done in the past. Too often, we forget about our own accumul- accu- accomplishment and strengths. If you have done something once, who says you can't do it again? If you endured the pandemic during summer, you can endure it during winter. If you have switched careers once, you can do it again. If you have moved to a different city, you can move again. Remember that you are stronger than you think at any given moment. We all have this inherent mechanism that are meant to help us to go through life. As Epictetus said, when you have a pain, you have the resource of endurance. It's all inside you. You just need to dust, dirt, dust it off and use it again. On crafting your life stories, everybody has a narrative about who they are and what they are capable for. You probably tell yourself all kinds of things without even knowing it. I have a story about myself that I quite as soon as things get a bit hard. During the first few years, when I started my blog and worked towards becoming a professional writer, I would occasionally look at the job, especially when things didn't work out. I would launch product in the first year, and and if I want, and if I didn't earn the amount of money I wanted to would I would get discouraged. My mind told me, just quiet. It's too hard. Go and get a job and you all be safe. But after looking at some jobs, I realized that if I can tell myself to quiet, I can also tell myself to keep going. After all, achieving a worthwhile goal is not easy and requires perseverance. The ancient Stoics, when were masters changing the narrative. They look they look at every situation in this life and as an opportunity to adjust the story we tell about ourselves. For example, when something bad happens to us, losing our job, failing to achieve goal, getting yelled at, behind man fun of, we often let it influence of our self image. We let bad things harm our emotions and well-being. The Stoic believe in personal power. They believe that every person has the ability to give their own meaning to situation. As Marcus famously said about bad things that happen to us, choose not to be at harm, and you won't feel harmed. Don't feel harm. You haven't been to anyone who hasn't lived according to Stoic values. This is an alien concept. Society is brought up with the ideas that every person has emotional baggage. We are told that our past influence our present. What happened to us every day and yesterday can scare our personality today. Sometimes it's useful to process what's happened in your past and to try to work through it. But it's also important not to let our stories about ourselves trap us. Instead, the Stoic believed that you have the power at any moment to look differently at anything in life. You cannot change what happens to you. You can change the meaning of you give to what happened. For example, when someone at works give you feel that the feeling, example, you are incompetent, you can say two things. First thing is this person is right, I'm no good. This person, and second thing is this person doesn't know me, I'm doing my best, which is all I can do, I'm good with that. The former is what causes emotional problems. The latter gives you can peace of mind. Whatever we like it or not, we all have this narrative about ourselves that continues to evolve over time, and often it evolves in one direction. If you often talk negatively to yourself, you probably will only do more that. But if you are objective and not overly positive or overly negative, you will keep living a balanced life. And if there is one thing we can't get enough of, it's balance. Never forget, you create your own life story. You have the power of change your attitude at any given moment. Does that mean you can change your entry life in a moment? We all know that's not realistic, but we also know that we can change our attitude, because that doesn't require much, just a belief that it's impossible and that it's possible. On remembering your true self-worth. Every time there's a large scale meaningless and large scale marketing event going on around a holiday, like Black Friday or 4th of July sales, I use it an opportunity to practice stoicism. While all these companies are trying to persuade us to buy their product and service, I take the time to strengthen my mind. I learned this from Seneca. He wrote these two Lucicles: think that nothing deserved administration except the mind, which being itself great counts nothing else as great. The Stoic should see us now. We frequently confuse our self-worth with our possessions. If I have a valuable watch, it means I am valuable, right? Of course not. And you can replace watch with any other external thing. An XUV car, purse, suit, dress, shoes, TV, sound system, and you name it. We use we use possessions to single our worth. For a Stoic, that's about as low as you can get. The admired the mind, not one's possessions. I remember when I bought my first cool car. This was back in 2013. I started making some money with our family business, and instead of saving the money or investing, I decided to buy a car with V10 diesel engine. It was a VW. It was a VW Touareg that had enough torque to pull off jumbo jet. I drove it with pride, and people gave the car compliment all the time. Wow, I saw that thing on Top Gear. It can pull at 747, right? That's a badass. My response, thank you. As if I'm the car. The truth is that you are not your possessions. When people compliment something we own, we take it personally. We start identifying ourselves with the object. The Stoics were indifferent to possessions and externals because they realized anything that can be given can be removed. So, what does that mean for our daily lives? Your self worth. Your self worth depends on the thing that can't be removed from you. Even the body is fragile, subject to illness and aging. But the mind, that's a different story. As long as it's just functionally, it will not disappoint you. Sensa says, let the men who entrust our house admire us rather than our furnishings. Now, that doesn't mean we should have an empty house and only say to people, look at how smart I am. That's another form of signaling, and the Stoic didn't need to impress others with their knowledge of lifestyle. They didn't brag about how virtuous they were. From the outside, they seemed totally in tune with society, but internally, they lived like a psychologist and like a philosopher. They practiced theft, but they also didn't treat like it's a self punishment. Life's too short to take it to the extreme. Just remember that you are not your possession. Otherwise, if you are lost something that you value, you might feel less complete. You will keep searching for new things to make you whole again. This is the true reason for the rat race. We take job we hate so we can buy things we don't actually need. Does all of this mean we should stay away from buying altogether? Of course not. I always buy supplies in bulk when they are not on sale. It's a great it's a great way to save money. But I don't spend all day searching for deals. That's how I once ended up wasting 4 hours and more than 400 bucks on workout gear. I didn't use two-thirds of the stuff I bought. That taught me an important lesson. If I need something, I buy that specific thing, but I get on with my day. You don't need to buy anything today to feel good about yourself. You're not missing out of anything. We all know that Black Friday is just another reason that companies use to get in our wallet. Remember that there are other times of the year when things are not sale as well. Spend today on things that make you a better human. on standing behind your values at all times. Last week, I went to a friend party. It was in a private area of an establishment, and it was a lot of fun. At some point, we were sitting outside with a group, and when one of the people there pulled out a joint. I don't mind other people's business, but I don't like being close to people who are so addicted. They can't be at a normal party without using. If they do it in private or with others who are into that lifestyle, so be it. I simply left that space because I didn't like to that energy of that group. So I could sense that they were not about personal growth and positivity. So I happily left. When we decided to be a certain personal person with certain ideals, we can't just throw out our ideals at the first sign of fear, prejudice of temptation. As Epictetus once said, we must be the same person in every situation. Decide the first what type of person you want to be and stick to it. Be the same person whatever you are by yourself of or with others. This is liberating way of living. You never have to think about how to behave in certain situation. How should I behave at work? Just like to you behave at home or in front of your family. If you live be proper values, you have nothing to hide. I can proudly say that I am the same person when I am with my family, friends, employees, and most importantly, then when I write. This is how I think and how I live. If people think that's too intense or serious, so what? What matters is that you like yourself. Honestly, if people think you are a certain way, it doesn't matter. If the person at the party thinks I'm not fun, but the feeling is mutual, I don't have the urge because to be liked by stranger or acquaintance. If I like myself and the important people in my life like me, that's all I need. Marx also talked about this idea. In his journal, he wrote that he aspired to always be honest and straightforward. If he truly lived that way, no one can say truthfully that you are not a straightforward or honest person. That anyone who thinks that believes a fleshhood, that responsibility is all yours. No one can stop you from being honest or straightforward. Simply resolve not to go on living it if you aren't. It would be contrary to the logos. Uh, who do you want to be? What type of person would make you proud of yourself? Be that person always. As Marcus said, the responsibility is all yours. No one can stop you from being a certain way, making better decisions. We must concern ourselves absolutely with the things that are under our control and entrust the thing not in our control to the universal. No making on making your own decision. How often how often do you decide to go to a certain direction? Whatever that's in your career or personal life, and you end up dividing from where you wanted to end up. And how often do you let other people allow your decision making? For many of us, those two things are in interconnected. For example, we want to pursue a creative career, but we let our partner of parents, talk us out of it. Instead, we take a job that's considered describable by other. Too many of us listen too much to what others say and think. In our endless quest to please the people in your lives, we become the product of what others want. When I had a corporate job, I had two co-workers, John and Ethan, who also wanted to quite start their own businessmen and or own businesses. I wanted to have a career that gave me inner satisfaction but also paid the bills. It's been almost 7 years since I quit the job and had conversations with John and Ethan about how amazing it sounded to be your own boss. Not long after that, John also gave his notice and and started a consulting firm. Last week I catch up with Ethan, who has had 3 different jobs since then. He can't stand being a worker, but he just can't take the plungy. That because he was too concerned with other people's opinions. He's one of the most considerate people I know, and he always listens to other people, but as the assistant, stoic psychologist, uh, Epictetus consulted, it's more important to decide something and stick to it. He said, once you undertake to do something, stick with it and treat it as something that should be carried through. Don't pay attention to what people say. It should not influence you in any way. This is really hard to do in real life because people are often quick to share opinion. Every time I talk about something I plan to do with my family or friends, someone share their opinion. I would do this, or I would never to do something like that. And then they continues talking about with they would do. There is nothing wrong with that, and it's a part of social life. We share our opinions freely, even when people don't ask for them. I don't think that's a bad thing. The bad thing is letting other people's opinions stand in the way of your decision. When you are still in the decision making phase and you are looking for feedback, it's good to have input from others. But let's say you are already made a decision and you are share it with someone you love. What usually happens? If you go to bed that night, second second guising yourself, something's not right. You are letting other people get in your head too much. It's difficult to find a balance between being open to people advice and being indifferent. When you want to please everyone in your life, you end up harming your own sense of self worth. It's form of suffering. You don't have to do everything for yourself because that's a recipe for ending up alone. But every person in life must also make their own decision when it comes to personal matters. These include things like who you spend time with, what type of your work you have, whatever you want kids, so you want to have a romantic relationship with, and so forth. You don't need to let others make the decision for you when you are deciding on things like that. Decide decide to live in your life as you think is right, while keeping your own morals and principles in mind. Decision making should not lead to suffering, but to lasting inner satisfaction. It's a matter of balance and taking charge at the same time. There's nothing better than deciding to do something and then actually doing it on existing your plans. What were your plans at the start for this year? I wanted to move to spend a few months in Spain to learn the language and try out the new things. I'd been I I have been to different Spanish cities over the years and I was always flat at home. I had gotten pretty far with my plants at the start of 2020. I made sure I had no long term commitments and was looking at properties. But like that the rest of the world, I had to adjust my plan. We were all forced to participate in a classic Stoic exercise. This is something Epictetus talked about in his philosophy school, psychology school. He said, when you are traveling by ship, you can go to the shore, enjoy the scenery, collect shell, or pick flower. But when you are called back to the ship, you need to drop everything and hurry back. Otherwise, the ship may leave without you. That was 2020 in a nutshell. We were somewhere enjoying the scenery, maybe picking some flower. Some of us were already looking at the other places to visit on our ship, but we were called back to the ship abruptly. We are going home, everybody. In life, we make up all kind of plans and goals, but we must be prepared to give up everything when something unaccepted happen. Let's be honest. Was this pandemic really unexpected? Why do we feel so blindsided by this crisis? It reminds me of the first time I lost someone too close to me, my grandmother. She wasn't in good health for the last years of her life, but when she passed, it hit me pretty hard. In recent years, I would adopted to a different mindset about life. We must be able to give up everything when it's called back. We have many things in life that we value, our family, friends, career, business, hobbies, car, investment, you name it. We feel like we have a right to have those relationship or objects. But in reality, we own nothing and nothing is owned to us. We are guests who temporarily walk this planet. This mindset shift has helped me. I look at everything in life as a board from someone I personally know. Think about it. How to do you act if you borrowed something from a friend? You don't get attracted and you don't get uh, attached, but at the same time you also take care of it. Live your life like that. Your job, house, even if you bought it, car, assets, and even relationship are not yours. Nothing is truly yours. Crazy, right? But we know, but we know on some level that this is true. That doesn't mean we can't have to good time and get close to people. That's a misconception about stoicism. Some narrow-minded people think it's dangerous to live more like the stoic or to focus more on the self. They don't get it, and that's fine. The truth is that the stoic cared immensely about their friends and family. They decided most of their lives to encouraging others to live well. If that's not altruistic, I don't know what is. When you inspire the people in your life to be happier and more tranquil, all of your lives and will be better. Does all of this mean we can't plan or set goals? If everything is bored, what's the point? Plan all you want. Enjoy your friendship, career, and even material possession. I'm all about that. I love to plan everything. Just good and just don't get attached to your plan. Always be flexible. As your friend Epictetus said, Be ready when the ship departs. As you are creating plans for the holidays and the new car, keep that it back off your mind. If something falls through, quickly let go of your old plan and come up with something new. Think creatively, and never stop trying to make the best of it. On welcoming what happened, we all have received weird gift from people we love. I remember getting a gift card for a Six Flag from my college girlfriend. We hadn't been dating for that long, so I didn't, and so she didn't really know me well. I honestly don't like theme parks. I don't know how she came up with the idea, but looking back, I think it's pretty cool. Back then, like an idiot, I immediately forwent when she gave me the gift. She knew I didn't like it. A few days later, I asked her if she could get a refund. If I had the same stoic mindset back then, I wouldn't have judged the gift so quickly. I wouldn't tried it. Maybe we would have a great day and make some fun memories. You never know. I was I was rereading McHugh's meditations. I noticed that he talked a lot about accepting whatever happens to in your life. It's one of the main themes of Stoicism. But the Stoics went beyond just expecting external events. Most people preferred 365 days of sunshine. But when it rains, we reluctantly and we reluctantly accept it. Oh no, it's raining again. We have no other choice that to accept what we don't control. Injuries, loss, the economy, other people's action, and so forth. But it's all about our attitude towards acceptations. Most of us expect to think because we realized there are no other options. Thank you.